Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the introduction, man. Before we get into the actual session on NPCI journey towards open platform and open source solution in various business products, um, I want to quickly walk you through the various business applications of NPCI and its nature, and a slight history about why we wanted to move into open platform and open source in the past, and what is our current state, where do we stand today, and what kind of technologies we use in various areas, and also what is our future plans. So this is how I structured the entire presentation. I'll start with the background about some of our key business applications. So I just listed down various business applications that we run in NPCI for various payment processing. I've classified the application into two categories: online products and offline products. Online product refers to the business application which has two components essentially. The first component is the online transaction processing platform. We call it EFT switch. So this application is responsible for processing the real-time authorization message coming from one bank, routing it to the other bank, get the authorization and forward it back to the originating bank. And so in this kind of an application, for an EFT switching application, some of the performance metrics are like it should be 24/7 available system, and the transaction should be completed within seconds. And if there is any latency within your application, that is something which is detrimental to the performance of this EFT switching application. So the kind of application you build should be free from unnecessary latencies in transaction processing. So these are the key expectation, apart from the fact that these online applications should be supporting thousands of TPS. For example, if I had to quote UPI, the kind of system we have set up in NPCI process close to 30,000 TPS. RuPay processes close to 5,000 TPS. I mean, in terms of the capability that we have set up in the production. So we may not have 5,000 TPS in RuPay, but the system is set up to handle that kind of a volume. Even if there is a sudden spike, there won't be any panic in the system. So this is the nature of the online applications. And there is another software application which works along with this real-time transaction processing system, and that is basically the clearing and settlement system, or we call it as the back office system. So the back office system and also the offline products, CTS, NACH, everything works on same fundamentals. And the key expectation for the back office system is that it should be able to process data in bulk. Like the banks can upload files containing millions of transactions in a single file, and the back office system is actually responsible for doing the actual settlement between the banks. So we support multiple settlement cycles in our products. For example, if you take UPI, we support 8 settlement cycles in a day. IMPS 6 settlement cycles, RuPay 4, and so on. So a settlement cycle is basically like the window in which the transaction processed in that window will be settled within 30-40 minutes once that window is over. Say, for example, if there is a cycle which is, say, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., those 3 hours transactions will be settled on or before 1:45. So the cycle cutover happens by 1 o'clock, and the system has to calculate the settlement for all the millions of transactions which has happened in that 3-hour window. It has to calculate the fees, and it has to calculate the accumulated settlement positions for each of the banks, and it has to generate the posting file which will get posted in the RBI's RTGS system. And also this system has to create the reconciliation files and reports for all the member banks and make it available within, say, 45 minutes to 1 hour. So that is the kind of performance expected out of these back office applications. So though in back office we can afford to have milliseconds of latency because it is not really in the path of an online transaction processing, but when it comes to settlement, it still has to deliver the performance. So to give you an idea, we have online real-time transaction processing systems, which are 24/7, and we have the back office systems, which are not really 24/7. You can afford to take few seconds of delay in that. But when it comes to settlement, it's like you must be doing the settlement for each of the cycles within 30 to 45 minutes of the settlement window. So this is the nature of the application. Given the nature of these applications, if I look at the technology landscape of NPCI 6, 7 years ago, somewhere around 2014-15, we were primarily a vendor shop. So we were having commercial off-the-shelf transaction processing platforms, be it online or back office. And we used to have those platforms from known proprietary OEMs. Okay, and these OEMs, for their application to function, they required a specific hardware, and they're all engineered hardware. So as a result, we have to go with a specific vendor for hardware. Also, there are dependent software, like it needs a specific database, it may need a specific middleware, and so on. So basically, we were forced to go and work with set of vendors in the past. So we took a conscious call to break these jinx and come out of this legacy and move into more and more open platform and open source around 6, 7 years ago. And though it was a decision we have consciously taken, the journey is not a straightforward one, because there were so many business applications back then, and we are also building many new age applications like UPI, the FASTag system, and BBPS back then. And for those applications, we decided to start everything fresh from day one. Though we had a roadmap for migrating all the legacy application from the legacy framework into open platform and open source. With that background, I'll give a quick overview about some of the drivers which actually has forced us to move into open platform and open source. Like I mentioned, one of the main reason was proprietary OEMs. So the business application that we had were from some or other proprietary OEM, and that comes with its own legacy, like it has a certain architecture, and the kind of flexibilities you want, they will not be able to do, because it doesn't work in a modern architecture, and it requires a specific hardware. So you have to buy bigger servers from big MNCs, and that costs a lot for you. And it requires, like I mentioned, a commercial database, and any commercial database that you buy comes with a huge license cost, and any other supporting softwares like middlewares, etc. It comes at a cost. It is not just one-time cost. You have to keep incurring those costs on those legacy software and hardware. And we are bleeding a lot in that front, and we wanted to avoid any dependency on any vendor, be it hardware or software. As much as possible, build the applications with NPC IP rights. If NPC IP rights is not possible, wherever it is not possible, at least go for a joint AP in terms of the business applications. And all the supporting hardware and supporting software needs to be kind of no vendor binding kind of thing. Say for example, if you take the hardware, we decided to come out of those 2, 3 big hardware vendors and engineered hardware platforms, and we wanted to have commodity hardwares with x86 based processing that you get from so many hardware vendors in the market, and they are also cheaper. And you don't have any binding with those hardwares. If one vendor doesn't work out, you can just move to the other one, because your application doesn't have any dependency that it has to run on only that particular hardware or only in that particular platform. So coming out of this proprietary OEM was one of the major factor. And another major reason is cost per transaction. One of the motto of NPC is to reduce the cost of transaction to the entire ecosystem. So when I say ecosystem, it's to our member banks and also to the end consumer. So if you are operating your business applications, which eats away a lot of your money and resources, you will not be able to give a cheaper solution to your customers. So cheaper and in fact quality solution, right? So that is the reason we decided to come out of it, because if you have to reduce our cost per transaction, we have to reduce our cost on the infra and the software. So that is possible only when we come out of the legacy. And another important factor is the maintenance aspect. If you buy a proprietary hardware, it comes with its own maintenance hassles. And same applies to software also. And you have to work with only a specific vendor for getting those hardware and software support, and you're primarily driven by them. And once you put your application in those hardware and software, rather than you driving the business, you'll be primarily driven by their priorities, their way of functioning, which in current world is not possible. If you have to be serving your customer well, you should be driving than the other way around. Another important factor is we wanted to have a flexible architecture. If you go to any commercial off-the-shelf product, it comes with its own architecture, right? So you may want to do in-memory processing, you may want to do some streaming, but if the uh, commercial off-the-shelf product doesn't allow you to do that, you're stuck with its architecture. Though you want to do many things in a dynamic way, and you want to adapt to the current, market trend and modernization of the technology, you will not be able to do if your hardware, if your application doesn't support it. That was one of the problem with the legacy application. Another expectation was we wanted to have 5 nines of uptime. That means in an entire year, you can hardly go down for 5 to 10 minutes. So that was the kind of uptime expectation. This is one of the major reasons we wanted to move, because the legacy application, legacy hardware, it comes with a lot of single point of failures. So whenever there is a failure, you are anyway going to have a downtime. And another problem is many of these legacy applications didn't have active kind of processing. Um, because at any point in time, anything can go wrong in a data center, and whatever goes wrong, if it is going to affect your service availability, you will not be able to meet the 5 nines. So that was one of the expectation. And though I can say we have reduced the downtimes a lot, we are still working towards 5 nines. I can say we are definitely reaching 3 nines. We are somewhere between 3 nines and 4 nines, but 5 nines is our target. And moving to open source and open platform definitely is helping us towards high availability. The next one is about the scalability. Um, we wanted to build applications which are horizontally scalable. So we know very well, like if you're going for a commercial hardware, um, commodity hardwares, you are bound to have hardware issues. And in a data center, you're bound to have some or other issues. So if you are putting the entire application in a single machine and with single dependency on a storeware or whatever, like you're going to have downtimes. So we wanted to build the application which is horizontally scaling, so that the application will be split and running in multiple servers. Even if one server goes down, it is not going to affect your service, because the system will automatically detect and it will work in the remaining servers. So even if the entire data center goes down, the traffic will still be processed in the other side 100%. So other than the in-flight transactions, you won't have a real downtime in that sense. And another thing is the linear scalability, which is in many of the legacy applications, that's a bottleneck. You have to live with the limitations of that application. And fault tolerance in a way already governed. So fault tolerance in terms of your hardware, storage, network, servers, and even manual errors. Sometimes the users, they also do manual error. Instead of shutting down one test system, they might shut down, production server by mistake. If that happens also, your service shouldn't be impacted. So the solution that we do out of this open platform and open source, it should cater to fault tolerance from the manual errors as well. And another bigger reason is the delivery commitment to the business. So nowadays, whatever business want, they want the delivery to be done the next day. And many cases they expect like as of yesterday, right? So if you meet that, if you have to meet those kind of expectations, you need to have a hold on the application, which is highly configurable, highly modular, and it doesn't have a lot of dependency on the vendor. So as we speak, the kind of application we have built in the past 6-7 years, for many of the applications, be it online application or back office, NPC have the IP rights. And we don't work with a single vendor, we work with multiple vendors. So when there is a requirement, you have an option. Like we have the option of doing it in-house, we have the option of doing it with vendor A or vendor B. We really don't have much dependency on a single vendor. I can't claim all for all the application I have that situation, but at least for 60-70% of the applications that we run in NPC, the business applications, I can very well say we are like we have definitely multiple options when it comes to delivering the agility to the business. And so you have to define your own problems. What are your drivers? And if you want to move towards open platform and open source, you have to decide your drivers and then you have to take a call. So these are some of the key drivers which actually pushed us to explore this option of open source. And so with this background, we created a digital strategy based on 3 pillars. And the first one is platform. So the platform that we want for serving this kind of an agility, we wanted it to be open source and open platform, and we wanted the new solution to be a fully API driven one, and the application has to work in the virtualization environment with containerization support, because you can build the application, you can even make it horizontally scalable, and but if you again have to put it in the physical servers only, you will end up buying again so many hardware, right? Even on horizontal scaling, if you buy too many servers, that's again going to cost you, because not just one-time cost, it is also the data center footprint. You have to deploy those servers, the power consumptions, maintenance, everything is going to cost you a lot. So the platform that you build should be easy to build, it should scale, and maintenance also should be easy. And that means your application should be definitely running in a virtualized environment, in a cloud environment, and it should also scale automatically. Basis the volume, if you have to scale, it should automatically scale. So in terms of auto scaling, we are yet to achieve the state of auto scaling. We have the horizontal scaling, and we set up the system for supporting at least 3x of the current production. But auto scaling is something which we are working probably in next 1 year or so. Many of our online platforms will definitely have the auto scaling feature. Another major pillar on which we build this entire solution is customer experience. When it comes to customer experience in online platform, it is the response which matters a lot. So a customer goes and puts his card in the ATM, tries a withdrawal transaction. If the transaction gets completed within couple of seconds, that experience is totally different from waiting for 10-15 seconds. Then the system gives some, either it gives a successful response or it throws out some error, then the customer will get annoyed. So at least the system that we deploy in NPCI, we wanted to always have this transaction processing within a second for all the transactions in NPCI. So quick response is one of the factors for online. And when it comes to back office systems, the clearing and settlement systems. So basically all the banks are accessing our back office system for their clearing and settlement and their daily reconciliation, and for raising their disputes and so on. So we wanted to give a very, very smooth experience for the customer. And the legacy systems we had, it had its own legacy technology, which was kind of limiting us from doing that. But this open source journey has helped us to give a better experience and better scaling to customers' experience as well. And another most important thing is security, because the moment we say open source and open platform, a lot of people doubt about this security part, right? That's a valid doubt, but I can tell you, whether it is open source or you buy something at a cost, you're bound to have security issues, as long as you have very strong mechanisms to protect your applications and data center, and as long as you have a very strong software development life cycle and a good IS team which keeps monitoring, which keeps enforcing some or other rule, you will not have this kind of a problem. So it is just a myth that only the commercial systems give a better security and not the open source. Maybe comparatively, open source may have more vulnerabilities, more issues, but as long as you know what to do with it, you won't have an issue. That's our experience. Another major pillar is the cost. Whatever we build in NPCI, we build at citizen scale. For example, if you take UPI, UPI system handles close to 15,000 TPS in its peak in a given day. I think during the festival seasons, it will touch around 20,000 TPS. I don't know how many applications in the world supports 20,000 TPS in a real-time transaction processing. Maybe Visa, Mastercard may be close to that one. But our entire solution is working on only open platform, open source solution. And if you have to operate something at a citizen scale, you can't keep throwing the money in your software and hardware. You have to have the hardware which is fully kind of commercial, commodity based, and the software on which you're spending less. So that is what we are doing in our applications. So I given a kind of hint about what all kind of open source and open platform we use across our various products. I just classified it into 6 major areas. When it comes to operating system, lot of our business applications are on CentOS. A year back, it was all Red Hat Linux. We took a call to move out of Red Hat Linux also into CentOS. It's a journey, it is still going on. As we speak, at least 60-70% of the applications are moved out of Red Hat into CentOS and Ubuntu. And we have a roadmap to fully come out of Red Hat in the future, probably in a year's time. When it comes to balancers, we use Nginx a lot and we use HA proxy a lot. So basis the need of the application, we decide which one to use, and both are doing good. We didn't have any issues. And when it comes to programming, most of our applications are Java-based application, and the front end is all using Angular JS and JSP. And there are also other technologies like React JS, etc. But primarily these are the ones used. And on our analytics front and in the AML front, we use a lot of Python programming as well. And there are also a lot of R&D going around Golang, etc. I just highlighted the major ones. And we do a lot of processing on in-memory and streaming systems. So if you have to achieve the scale, you need in-memory processing. You can't have a conventional business application which depends upon the database for each and every transaction processing. Like you can't, if you try to process the transaction into the database during the transaction processing, the app2DB will have some or other slowness sometime or other. That will cascade your transaction processing. And so you need to do a lot of in-memory processing like Redis, KeyDB and all. And when it comes to any DB logging, if you are using streaming system, that will help a lot. Like you can put your transaction into Kafka queue and then you can move on. You need not wait till the DB to confirm the transaction back to your banks. You can just put it in the streaming system and move on. And these systems, streaming system has its own redundancy check. There will be multiple copies. Even if one server crashes, you really won't have any data loss and all. So the moment you write it in streaming system, there can be n number of downstream systems. Like there can be a settlement system which is consuming the transactions populated by this real-time system in the Kafka. There can be an analytics system. There can be a real-time fraud management system which will be reading this, and there will be another MIS system. So there are multiple consumers which will just consume the same data which you have written into Kafka, and you don't have to, your application need not take the burden of pushing the data to each and every destination applications. And another major thing is when it comes to database, for the online systems, we use a lot of Cassandra in most of the applications. We also use MariaDB, at some places MySQL also. And when it comes to clearing and settlement system, we use Postgres a lot. Till a year back, we have been using Postgres for even for online systems also. But recently, we started converting all our applications into active across multiple data centers. So Postgres had its own challenges in supporting active across site. So we moved those kind of applications to Cassandra and also some application into Maria, and both are serving the purpose as of now. So given this background, so what is that we are going to do from here in our open source journey? One is we are going to continue to explore this opportunity further and further, because open source area is something, and open platform area is something which keeps evolving. Day by day, something or other better technology comes, and unless you explore, you will not know the better features of that solution. And it's a practice in NPCI that we have a innovation team on the technology front, and every department has its own R&D division, as a small R&D division. So we keep playing with some or other technology, and when we find it useful, we just roll it across to various products, subject to required stress testing and security and vulnerability testing and all. And I mean, we are primarily an open source user as of now. We want to also start contributing to the open source community in terms of giving tools and frameworks. And we are also in the plan of giving some of the business application as open source. We just started that conversation, and we are at the initial stage. You are going to hear some or other business application from NPCI being made open source for the entire ecosystem to consume. And we want to be associated with a lot of tech savvy organizations, because and in fact a lot of startups as well, because that is where you get to see a lot of new ideas, playing with new technology and all. So
Mr.
we will
Sampath,
continue doing that one.
Sir, we are running short on time. So we are
Yeah.
almost in the end of this session. So if you could just conclude and we can just answer some questions, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
So yeah. So common code. So the applications, I mean, we developed a couple of platforms for online transaction processing and couple of platforms for back office transaction processing. All our business applications are getting moved into one or other this common track, so that in future our maintenance also will be easy. We don't want to develop kind of bespoke application for each of the business application. Rather, just develop some common code and keep moving this business application into these tracks. As we speak, almost 60-70% of these business applications are in some or other common track. So I'm done with my session. If there is any questions, please shoot.
Yes, sir, of course. There are like 5-6 questions actually. I'm going to take quickly 4 questions for you. So here I'm posting the first question. I'll read it for you. So can you shed some light on e-rupee NPCI?
Okay. So e-rupee is our voucher platform solution, right? So anyway, I think there is a separate session planned on e-rupee by Shankar Narayan and team. I think you'll get to know a lot from that session. So let me not give you much idea about this one. So for now, you keep it like it's a valid, voucher solution. You'll see a lot of technical details in that session.
So it's a hint by Mr. Sampath that all our audience, you have to stay tuned, because we have got a lot more coming in from different knowledgeable people. So here you go. Here comes the next question for you, sir. So what is the security system of NPCI?
Okay. See, when it comes to security, there is no one tool which takes care of the security part. So when it comes to transaction processing, it is a must that you have an online fraud management solution which process each and every online transaction and then decides whether the transaction has to be allowed or not. So we have a FRM system built in-house with the vendor, and every transaction passes through that platform. And wherever there is a chance for fraud, we reject it or we populate the score to the bank to decide whether to allow the transaction or not. Apart from this, there are various security solutions, like, there are anything that comes through the as a web service, either through our closed loop network or through the internet. It goes through WAF and DDoS. And when it comes to server, there are so many hardening agents. And for every database, there is a DAM agent, database administration management. And um, every server, when it is provisioned, it goes through vulnerability assessment, penetration test, and we run only the required services in any server. We don't run unnecessary services. It's all part of hardening process. We stop unnecessary services, and every user's access is kind of thoroughly monitored, and users will have only access to the relevant data they're supposed to see or access. And all the PA data and the card data and any other sensitive data, it's all encrypted in our persistent storage, be it application logs or database. You won't see any clear database anywhere. Only the applications will be able to decrypt and give the clear information. And all the software that we develop, it goes through a strong software development life cycle. Every code that we develop, it goes through code assessment tool. We use check marks, sonar cube and all, and it is subject to thorough quality analysis. The things are rolled out in production. So the chance for security lapses are very, very, very rare.
Okay, so we'll take the next one. So the next question is, what are the levels where NPCI occurs and can be occurred?
Sorry, what are the?
What are the levels where NPCI occurs and can be occurred?
I think I didn't get this question
So
correctly.
this is the question. I mean, I've posted it. You can read it directly. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. So here comes the next question for you, sir.
Yeah.
So are you able to see the question in the chat box section?
One second, let me just. Okay, so what are the levels where NPC occurs and can be occurred? I'm not sure I understood this question.
That's okay. We'll move on to the next one, sir. So have all states of India started promoting NPCI?
Yeah, definitely the central government has been promoting a lot, right? So if you are hearing Man Ki Baat from the PM, and if you hear his statements in his, say, even recently the Republic Day parade, Independence Day parade, and all, you will keep seeing NPCI's products and names, UPI, RuPay, etc. Of course, the PM himself talks about it, and of course, various states also support. And I mean, all the states, many of the governments, the subsidies are processed through our platform. So, for example, all this gas subsidy you get for all the citizens, it is processed through our platform only. So, not just the central government, various state governments, they're all processing the benefit transfer through our platform.
All right. So with this, we come to the end of this session. Thank you, Mr. Sampath Kumar Rangasamy, for such insightful, knowledgeable presentation. So with this, we conclude this session. And once again, I would like to thank our speaker. It was an honor to have you with us for Global FinTech Fest 2022.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks.
We would also like to thank our partners, Team Partner WhatsApp, co-powered by Amazon Pay, Spend Management Partner Encash, in association with Perfumes, Payments Partner Cash Free Payments, CEO's Dinner Partner HSBC, Co-Agenda Partner Lyra, PayPoint, Session Partner Fedzai, Bureau.id, Rico, Golden Partner Jokata, Pay10, Innoviti, Beams VC. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being a part of this session. And once again, Mr. Sampath, it was an amazing one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.